Let's talk about Donald Trump's rigged election claims. He's been claiming for a while now that the election is rigged, that if indeed Hillary Clinton defeats him on November 8th, next Tuesday, it will be only because the election was rigged. Now, unfortunately for Trump, the ways in which the election is sort of rigged are not ways that are favorable to Hillary Clinton. This includes Republican gerrymandering of congressional districts after the 2010 census. This includes the Republican effort to reduce early voting hours and make it more difficult to get the required IDs to vote in historically lower income and or non-white and or Democratic areas. In-person voter fraud, that the kind Trump is talking about, millions of dead people voting twice, etc., it's really, really rare. However, we now know of at least one instance of this elusive in-person voter fraud, and it happens to have been perpetrated by a Donald Trump supporter voting twice because, as she put it, the election is rigged against Trump, so she wanted to vote twice for Trump. I'm talking about 55-year-old Terri Rote, who was arrested on first-degree election misconduct charges after trying to vote for Trump at two separate polling stations in Des Moines, Iowa, late last week. She's a registered Republican. She went up to the Polk County election office to submit an early ballot, and shortly thereafter, she went to a county satellite voting location with a second ballot, and that's illegal. That is called voter fraud. She was booked on a Class D felony. It could land her in jail for up to 5 years if convicted. I would be shocked if that actually happens. Now, not only is this rare, as we know, Terri Rote's story tells us that it is taken seriously. The Republicans and the right and Donald Trump and everybody trying to pass these oppressive voter suppression laws would have you believe, Pat, that it's super easy to get away with this. Well, Terri Rote faces 5 years in prison now for it.
Yeah, the exchange is 5 years in prison for one seemingly inconsequential vote.
Yeah.
You know, when Trump talks about voter fraud, it seems like he's hinting that it's being conducted by racial minorities.
Right.
He'll talk about Chicago, even though he has no chance of winning Illinois. I mean, this could happen by anyone, and in this case, it is a Trump supporter.
And there's some additional irony in addition to this just being a Trump supporter, because a felony record in Iowa takes away your right to vote altogether. Iowa, not every state has that law. Iowa is known for being notoriously, hard on felons with regard to voting law. These people do need to be thrown in jail. I mean, it's funny and all, but you have to throw the book at people who do this. It's really, really rare. But when it happens, we have a system, we have a legal system in place. And I want to add to this that Trump has been talking about, in addition to talking about a rigged election, Trump has been talking about how he wants people to sign up to be sort of election monitors. And next, probably tomorrow or the next day, we're going to talk about how to be prepared for potential voter intimidation, because Trump is lining up this really harebrained and just magnificently dreadful crew of people, deplorable in many cases, that are going to be at polling places aggressively intimidating would-be voters. We're going to tell you what your rights are. We're going to tell you what these monitors are allowed to do and not allowed to do. But very importantly, we're going to tell you, number one, how to identify whether this is an actual official election monitor. And number two, and this is maybe the most important thing, what to do if you show up and there is someone intimidating voters outside, or hopefully not, but even inside a polling place. I'm done with this. I voted on Friday. I had about 30 minutes total it took to vote at Boston City Hall. And I've been told that the lines on November 8th will be much, much worse. So hopefully I've saved myself some time. For people who haven't voted, and particularly if you'll be voting on November 8th, tomorrow or the next day, we will talk to you all about protecting yourself from voter intimidation. I'm on Twitter at dpakman. Of course, we are on Reddit at davidpakman.com/Reddit, REDDIT. Discuss any of these stories or others that are important to you there. I think it is really great that we have Movement Watches as a sponsor on the show. I've been thinking of getting a Movement Watch for a while because I think that they are really, really cool. And when they came to us and said, hey, we would like to sponsor some episodes of the David Pakman Show, and we would like to send you a free watch, as you can imagine, I was thrilled. And the entire story of Movement Watches, MVMT for short, is not that different from the David Pakman show in the sense that it started in college. It was built partially on crowdfunding an Indiegogo campaign, much like what we've done. And the whole idea is that these are the types of watches you would go to a department store and probably be stunned that you would have to pay $400 to $500 for. And instead, movement watches start at just $95. If you're watching with me, you can see I have the sort of a white face chronograph watch, and we have the picture here of the darker face chronograph watch. But there's a whole bunch of different options. And my viewers and listeners can actually get 15% off today with free shipping and free returns by going to mvmtwatches.com/Pakman. The watch I picked has a super clean design, minimalist. Everywhere I go and people see it, they say, what is that watch? That's really cool. And the great thing about it is it also tells time, which now increasingly I have no clue what time it is with the election coming up and how busy we've been. Hours go by and I don't even know what's going on. And it also does a good job of telling time, which is something a watch should do. So again, mvmtwatches.com/Pakman, Pakman, 15% off, free shipping, free returns. I love my watch.